Hello everyone, welcome back to Technique Tuesday. Sarah with you today. So today I have chosen this stencil set from Brutus Monroe and 3 velveteen glaze colors. All the products that I am using are available in a Cherry on Top's shop. I just haven't had a chance to use any of these products yet, and I really wanted to play with them. And I thought this would be a perfect opportunity because the theme of Technique Tuesday this month is mixed media. So that's what we're going to do today. So I am going to go ahead and get my stencil down onto some thick white paper. I'm going to adhere it with some repositionable tape. The stencil I'm using today is called the Folk Butterfly Layering Stencil Set. It is a 3-piece stencil set, and it is absolutely beautiful. It makes this little like cool folk art background. So once I have the stencil attached to my paper, I am just going ahead and tracing the inside of those squares. I know I'm going to cut this down significantly when I'm all finished. So I'm going to go ahead and make those pen marks so I get all 3 layers of this stencil completely lined up well. The other thing I will say about this stencil is that if you're going to use it with a medium like a paste, which is what I'm going to do with it, I'm going to use some velveteen glazes, also from Brutus Monroe. You should probably take a look at it to make sure it's in the right layers, because there is actually like a good way and a bad way to layer them up, because sometimes like the centers of those large flowers are going to need to go on top, so you want to do the bottoms first. The butterfly body and his antennas and all of that go on top of the wings, so I made sure to have a good idea of what each stencil was going to give me before I started the process of stenciling each of these layers. So my first layer here is going to be with some velveteen glaze called Travel by Bubble. This is a pretty deep kind of pink mauve color, not as dark as the Marsala, which is the third we're going to be using, but it does dry pretty jewel toned. We'll do that. So there's my first layer. Now you have to leave these let the layers dry. I'm going to go ahead and kind of set this aside, let it dry thoroughly, and then come back with my next color. So here is my first layer. This is what the Travel by Bubble looks like after you've finished and it is completely dry. The next layer I'm going to be using, the next color I'm going to be doing is called Basil. This is another velveteen glaze. So velveteen glazes dry matte. They don't dry with a shimmer. They don't dry with a gloss. They have a very matte, flat texture when they're dry. That's the first thing you should know about velveteen glazes. The second thing you definitely should know as I do this is that I am not being careful with this. I am just getting this color through the stencil. That's all I needed to do. We are going to ink it. We're going to rough it up. We're going to add we're going to cut it down quite a bit. We're going to add some more medium on top of it. This does not have to be pristine stenciling. In fact, I didn't want it to be pristine stenciling for the purposes of this video, because I wanted to show you that even if you mess up the stenciling, even if stenciling is not pristine, you can still use it. Your end product will still look beautiful. You just kind of have to lean into the messiness, I guess would be the way to describe it. And that way, if you mess it up, it is a-okay. So there is our first 2 layers of the stencil. Now we're going to add the third layer. Now this is going to be the messiest, and I did not intentionally want it to be that way, but I didn't stir my velveteen glaze up enough, and it ended up being a little bit runnier than I was expecting. And so it really did smush underneath the third layer of the stencil. But again, I wanted to be like upset and start over, so we had a nice pristine stencil. But then I thought to myself that I wanted to show you that it was okay. I wanted to show you that it was you can still use it. Even if you're like me and, you know, you didn't stir up your velveteen glaze like you really ought to have, and your finished product is a little smushy, we can completely still use it. It is A-okay. So this is Marsala, the third layer that I'm putting under, and it was too runny. It needed to be mixed in. I didn't mix it, and it smushed under the stencil. So here is our panel all done. You can see it's smushed. I know. I'm going to trim this down on all four sides nice and evenly, except for the top. I wanted to make sure that the butterfly still looked like a butterfly, but I also want to go ahead and cut enough off of this that I have a panel that is 4 by 5 1/4. And I'm literally going to almost do this by 1/8 of an inch, so it stays fairly centered. I wanted that butterfly to be centered. Next, I'm going to go ahead and take some Distress Oxide ink in Antique Linen, and I am going to go ahead and cover over the whole panel. So I don't want that bright, crisp, clean white background that really shows the imperfections in my stenciling. Instead, I want to kind of color this up with some Antique Linen, which will give us that kind of like distressed, worn look. Perfect. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go over just the edges with some Vintage Photo Distress Oxide ink. I'm going to take the edge of my scissors and rough up all along the edge of this stenciled panel, giving it a really distressed edge. So I distressed it up, then I'm going to go over it with the Vintage Photo Distress ink because I don't want that bright white edge. And then I'm going to scrunch it up a little bit more with my scissors, add a little bit more Vintage Photo Distress ink until I'm happy with the level of distressing. Next, I'm going to go ahead and use Echo Park's family collection. This collection, you guys, is like a super duper favorite of mine right now. I really, really love it. I think it's so nice. I love these jewel tones. I love how it's just the right amount of vintage that you can use it with really kind of modern photos. And I love how it looks on cards. It's so pretty. So I'm going to go through my scraps, not so much the full 12 by 12 sheets, the scraps. And I have 3 of the 12 by 12 sticker sheets. So we have plenty of stickers that we can kind of play with. I really liked how this stencil panel looked against these green shades of green that are in the collection. So we're going to go with that to kind of mat our stencil panel onto. I couldn't decide if I liked the floral or the more tone on tone layer. So I'm going to go ahead and cut them both down and then see which one I think I like. So I chose the floral one, but honestly, looking back at the video, maybe I should have gone with the darker one, but I didn't. I went with the floral one. I felt like it brought in a little bit more lightness to the whole card, which I thought would be really pretty. Okay, so again, just roughing up the edges of the pattern paper with the edge of my scissors. Then I am going to create some little sticker scenes. So I love these 2 butterflies. I'm going to just use a black gel pen to add little trails behind them. And then in the lower right-hand corner, I'm going to go ahead and add my sentiment. I'm also going to use a little piece that says, that little piece that I put there, I think it says something about you can always put it, there's always a chair in my home for you. Something really nice that I thought would be like really, really nice for the front of a card. I'm also going to add some of these floral elements, and I'm just going to layer everything up, kind of create the scene in the bottom lower right-hand corner of my card. I also chose that little frame to tuck underneath. And if right now that frame is looking a bit white and you're kind of like, wow, that's smack of white, which is going to happen on this card no matter what because the stickers have a white border on them. I'm actually going to cover up most of that kind of frame sticker. I thought that frame would make a perfect location for a wax seal. So I keep this little bag of wax seals handy on my desk. There's all different colors, all different icons. I'm going to go through them and I'm going to choose a couple, kind of flip-flop between them. I end up going with kind of this, I knew I wanted like one of these ones that had like the green and the gold. I thought that would be really cute. I thought it would work really well with the rest of the colors. So I'm going to flip-flop between a couple icons, but I end up with that pretty heart. Before I go ahead and add the wax seal, I decided we need some gold splatters. So I'm just going to go ahead and use my fan brush and some liquid watercolor in gold and splatter very, very liberally all over my card, even on the stickers. It'll work just fine. I use honeybee stamps or Spellbinders, wax seal stickers. Whenever I finish a wax seal, I always put the wax sealed stickers on the back, which makes it super easy for me to just pull off that double-sided adhesive and stick it right to my card. Now, I was looking at this card and I decided we needed one more butterfly. So we're going to put him down. I'm going to put him right there. And then because I don't want everything else to be splattered, but the little butterfly not to be splattered. So I took my fan brush and we're going to add a little splatter just very right on him. And that's where we're going to call our card all finished for today. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that this video would gave you a little bit more confidence that even when you spludge your paste underneath your stencil and it gets a little smudgy, it can still be beautiful. Talk to you all again very soon. Bye.